Hi, this is Thresdend, and this is part 17 of an ESO Firesong walkthrough. For the past 2 episodes, we've been doing daily quests and side quests, and we've pretty much finished. There are still a few more daily quests that we haven't done, but they're pretty similar to the ones we've already done. So I'm going to go ahead and collect these lore books here and finish this off. I do have the lore books add-on, but unfortunately, it is not telling me where all of the lore books are. Still, I can go ahead and at least get the 3 that it shows me, and then I'll have to look up a YouTube video or something to try to find the others.
Sachi has news!
Alright, let's see what we got down here. Oh wow, this is an interesting little tunnel.
You, over here! These Bretons are becoming a real problem! Best to take him by surprise. See if you can get behind this one and check it in.
That was close. Alright. Oh! Wow, this person's tough. Alyssa Marcellinus. Wow.
I love watching the big tough ones fall.
That was crazy. Alright, there's the book. The Bretons, Mongrels or Paragons? By Phrastus of Elenhir. That men and Mer can interbreed has been known since the first humans began arriving on the shores of Tamriel in the middle of the Merithic era.
Reminds me of being a kid. Being hungry wasn't so bad when you were warm.
However, broad intermingling of elves and humans only occurred in the far northwest of the continent, giving rise to the race of men known as the Bretons. Given the history of conflict between humans and the children of Aldmeris elsewhere in Tamriel, how and why did this intermingling occur at High Rock? The answer lies in the peculiar for elves culture of Clan Durini, the once dominant Mer of northwest Tamriel. In contrast to the aliens of Cyrodiil, who brutally enslaved any humans they came into contact with, the Durini simply conquered their local needs and then ruled them as a caste of nobility. The aristocratic elves established a system of feudal vassalage over their human subjects, with rights and privileges that included the prerequisite of coiton with any human they desired. Sex with attractive needs was considered casual recreation, and Durini nobles competed to have stables of the most desirable human subjects. The inevitable half-elven offspring from these liaisons were not adopted into the families of their Durini parents, being considered sub-Mer, but were nonetheless often given privileged positions among the subject needs. Over time, this led to the establishment of a recognized caste of mixed-blood humans, who were given the name Bretons, from the Ellen effects Baratu, or half. The Breton caste was only allowed to marry humans, so over time their elven blood became more diluted, and the Nedic appearance predominated. Though they wielded great power for a time in the First Era, even then the elves of Clan Durini were never numerous, and as their geographical hegemony expanded, administration and rulership was increasingly handed off to the Breton caste. After defeating the invading Alessian horde in 1E482, Clan Durini was scattered and effectively exhausted, as the elves retreated to central High Rock, then finally Balfiera Isle. The Bretons stepped easily into their shoes, assuming the feudal hierarchy established by the Durini, and simply replacing them with their own noble families. The Breton nobles, who had been forced to differentiate themselves from the Durini part of their heritage, justified their new ascension by distancing themselves from elves and everything elven. Ironically so, as the elven blood ran strongest in the older noble families. The Durini were increasingly vilified by their former vassals, and the island clan became ever more insular and isolationist. However, they were still known as powerful magicians, and they were strong enough to repel an attempted Redguard invasion in 1E907. The Bretons continued redefining themselves, inventing a myth of a history of noble resistance to Durini rule, and developing a thriving merchant class that began trading around the coasts of Tamriel. By the time the Empress Hestra and her legions arrived at Bankarai Pass in 1E1029, they were ready to join the Empire of Men and embrace the Eight Divines. Under the Remans, High Rock was possibly the most stable and prosperous province in the Second Empire. Which brings us back to the deliberately provocative question of our title. Are the Bretons then mongrels or paragons? The answer, of course, is both. Though if you call a Breton a mongrel, he is liable to feed you an inch or two of steel. The passionate race of Bretons embodies the strengths of both men and mer, as well as their flaws. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that Bretons were descended from elves. That explains why they're so good at magic, though. So let's see. Let's go back to the Way Shrine here. Hopefully I can find a way to do this without running through the fire too much. Again. Okay, where's the next one? There's this one. Triumphs of a Monarch, Chapter 6. Uh-oh. Probably gonna die. No, I didn't die. Amazing. Interesting. I know we came here before. How did I miss this? Well, it's inside of here. I couldn't figure out how to get inside of it. Yeah, I got killed by piranhas here last time. Yeah, I don't know how to get in here. What am I doing wrong? Maybe this way? There's got to be some way to get inside of here. Yeah, I think I'm getting close.
I haven't killed anything in too long.
Yeah. I don't know how to get down here. Well, I mean, I don't think that's the way I was supposed to go, but it seems to have worked. That's one way to get down.
You can't get back on your feet. Come on.
accidentally weapon swapped twice instead of once. Alright, where is the book? There it is. Triumphs of a Monarch, Chapter 6. Chapter 6, Rancer's War, Wayrest Besieged. Ever since my accession to the throne of Wayrest in that momentous year of 2E563, the question of who should become my queen consort was ever on my and my advisors' minds. King Rancer of Shornhelm had a goodly daughter, Prince Rael, and her hand was offered to me by my brother of Shornhelm both early and often. Indeed, my mind was almost made up to accept the Princess of Shornhelm when, on a visit to Sentinel, my eyes first beheld the Princess Mariah, daughter of King Faharajad. From that moment, I swore that Wayrest would have no queen but Mariah. Of course, there was another unexpected benefit. As her dowry, she brought a trade agreement between our two states that resulted in great prosperity for all. King Rancer, alas, was wroth that I had not accepted the hand of his daughter, and he withdrew his ambassador from the court of Wayrest, although Rancer was invited to my wedding to Mariah in the spring of 566. Like the other kings of the Covenant, he stayed, seething in Shornhelm. I should perhaps have paid more attention to Rancer's color, but I was so taken with my new bride and trade issues around the Iliac Bay that mountainous Shornhelm seemed distant and irrelevant. That mistake almost cost me my throne. For over a year, Rancer had been quietly mustering his troops and emptying his treasury to hire mercenaries. In last siege 2E566, he led his army out of Shornhelm in a lightning strike to the south. Rancer had marched through Alcair and Menevia almost before we were aware of his approach. The Shornhelm advance guard reached the gates of Wayrest, while the local militias we had quickly mustered were still filing through them. This was a moment when history trembled upon a cusp. If the attacking Old Gate Lancers scattered our militia and took the gate, Wayrest could fall to her attackers within the hour. Fortunately, I was personally present at the gate, along with my Cumberland Guard. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, I had my bannermen sound the charge. I led the gate guards and my household troops out against the Old Gate Lancers. My men wore full armor, and I, though unarmored, bore at my side the mighty Orichalk Scalpel, an enchanted broadsword of many virtues. The scalpel, drawn for the first time in anger, flashed and hummed like a blade in a sawmill as we hurled ourselves against the Lancers. Our enemies, who suddenly found themselves opposed by armored veterans rather than panicky irregulars, were further confounded by the sudden onset of a thunderstorm. Lashed by hail, their horses terrified by lightning, faced with the Orichalk Scalpel sithing through their necks and limbs, the vaunted Old Gate Lancers hesitated, then broke and ran pell-mell from the gate. By the time Rancer's main forces arrived on the scene, our troops were all within the walls. The gates were shut up tight, but the King of Shornhelm was undeterred. The city of Wayrest found itself once more under siege, and Rancer, with more craft and foresight than the Reachman Dorkarock, had come with siege engines in his train. Alright, I think we got one more that we can get on the map. This one right here. Flesh to cut from bone. I think I'm going to try to just teleport there. It's worth 146 gold to get there quickly. Flesh to cut from bone. A pirate song. If you see it glitters bright, then take it for your own. Pile the corpses to a height to make a pirate throne. For what's made weak is ours to break, and what's ill-guarded ours to take. Just flesh to cut from bone. More flesh to cut from bone. If they try to lock the gates, we'll burn the whole damn town. They'll bring their guards and magistrates, and then we'll cut them down. For what's made weak is ours to break, and what's ill-guarded ours to take. just flesh to cut from bone, more flesh to cut from bone. They'll bring their soldiers by the score to drive us from their lands, but we will have 100 more in our brave pirate band. For what's made weak is ours to break, and what's ill-guarded ours to take. Just flesh to cut from bone, more flesh to cut from bone. And if they cry for mercy, then we'll answer them with steel. For pity's made for other men, we'll grind beneath our heel. For what's made weak is ours to break, and what's ill-guarded ours to take. Just flesh to cut from bone, more flesh to cut from bone. Alright, so I've decided, I've been thinking about it the whole time. I really don't want to be looking up a YouTube video and trying to find where all the other lore books are. So I'm just going to cut this episode short. This is going to be the final episode of the series. I'm not sure where these other lore books are, but I'm just going to count this as the end of the series. And next week, I'm going to go back to High Isle and finish up on that series. Alright, I was going to end the video right there, but I decided to just record one little clip here and finish up, show what we've done. So I went off camera. I went and got the rest of the lore book. So I've completed, absolutely 100% completed the map. And then, out of all the gear, if you've been watching this, you've seen all the gear that we've collected. Not DLC dungeons, but regular DLC zones. Right here. Let's go to Galen. And we've got most of the back alley Gourmand set. We're missing the shoes. We're missing the necklace. We've got the ring. And then, of course, we're missing the weapons. Those are always the hardest to get. Bastion of the Drafa, we're missing quite a bit. Shoulders, chest, pants, shoes, and the weapons. Phoenix Moth, Theurge, we're missing the pants, and the weapons and shields. So we've got, you know, more than half of the gear. And in the next episode, this is the final episode of the Firesong walkthrough. I'm going to go back to High Isle now and complete that walkthrough. And then afterwards we'll do the Legacy of the Bretons epilogue, which will finish off the story for this entire year. Thanks for watching. See you next time.